Gotta kick off the show here.
We're agreeing.
So cleaned up.
Back to the Mafia Cast. How you doing, Bill's Mafia? It's been a wild and crazy 48 hours. We're going to definitely get into that. Guys, what's going on? Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing all right. I got my black shirt on. Casey mentioned the black shirt earlier this week, or like yesterday or whatever. So I got my nameless black Bills jersey on.
In honor of Black Wednesday, huh?
For our missing players. I can't hear Casey. Can you hear?
Casey, you're muted.
Every time. Every time. All
it
that talk.
Wouldn't be a show without that.
It's true. All that talk we had pre-show, you're starting to get my blood boiling again like you did at about 8 o'clock this morning. So I'm excited that we get to jump right into it.
Yeah.
You know what? I wasn't going to bring it up, but you just did.
We got one thing to do first.
We do, don't we?
Okay,
you want to get right into it?
What do we got? What's going on?
We got to do our giveaway.
Take it away, Mike.
Let's get through it now. See if I remember how to do this. Good evening, Richard. Thanks for joining us. All right, here we have our wheel. Thank you for everyone that entered this week with a second chance. The winner so graciously redonated the card back, and now we're going to pick a new winner for the 2018 rookie Josh Allen card. We got 40 entries this week, so it's awesome. A big step up. So, we're excited, and here we go. We're going to give her a spin. Good luck, everybody.
Good luck.
The wheel is spinning for those of you who are or will be listening later.
William.
In the podcast.
William Croft?
No?
The third.
I would say Crow.
I'm not good at pronouncing things sometimes.
William, congrats.
we
will be
William C. the third.
We'll be in touch about how to get you your card. Thank you for doing the overall entry.
Yes, thank you. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. Sweet.
There you go. Hey, and check us out again. Facebook, also, of course, with the Game On crew. And follow both those Facebook groups. Get you entered into future deals. And before we get too much further into all of this, let's hear from our friends over at Game On.
Hey, it's John from Game On Sports Memorabilia. Check out our huge selection of unopened wax boxes of Pokemon cards. You have to see our selection of over 2 million sports cards in stock, plus hard-to-find card supplies. And if you have anything to sell, bring it in. We can help you determine the true value before you sell it. We pay fair market value every day. It's Game On Sports Memorabilia, 2670 Dewey Avenue in Greece. Check out our podcast for news and information on the card and collectible universe. Also, check out our Facebook page.
For more, call 481-2153. That's 481-2153.
Fantastic stuff. Yeah, check them out. They've got some really cool stuff going on over there. We've already got some comments coming in here, so let's kind of get into some of those really quick. Ryan O'Connell, yes, Bills and a lot of teams clearing cap.
What's up, Ryan?
And we're going to talk about a little bit of that, especially at the safety position, because there's a lot of free safeties and strong safeties out there. And, of course, John Roberts, the release that surprised me the most was Mitch Morris. I tend to agree with that. That's the one I was not, I guess, expecting. What do you guys think on that one?
I mean, everybody on the team called him dad. I mean, someone said it best on Twitter. I wish I could remember who it was to give him credit, but the team looked at him during the highs and the lows and, kind of judged how he was reacting and saw how, because he is such a professional at what he does, not just as well on the field, but how he holds himself in the locker room. Like the team looked to him, and I mean, being a captain, it hurts. You know, it was clearly a Cap specific move.
Yeah.
But I was shocked.
Yeah, but was he the last one? Was that the last one that came out too? I feel like it was.
I
think
I don't remember the order.
I think Tre'Davious was the last one.
Oh yeah, that was a killer.
I know the first one that popped up on my phone that I saw was Jordan Poyer, and I'm just gonna say this. So last night when all this news was coming out, and I tweeted out that the whole afternoon kind of reminded me of what some Bills fans might remember as Black Thursday, when Bruce Smith, Thurman Thomas, and Andre Reed were all released the same day, same time. Some people kind of got, I don't know if mad is the word I would use, but they didn't like that, basically saying I was crazy for making that comparison because those were Hall of Famers. The point was simply this: the emotional attachment that I think most fans had with White, Poyer, Hyde, and these guys, because let's be honest, they're the ones that kind of helped break the 17-year playoff drought. They're the ones that laid that foundation early on in that culture. And in this day and age, you don't get guys on the team to stick with the team for as long as they did very often. So from that perspective, I mean, it was an emotional day. I mean, I'm not like I was sitting here crying over it or anything like that, but at the end of the day, though, I think it needed to happen. Not only for the money aspect of it, but the defense needed some changes. They're starting to get up there a little older, and it was time to reset, I think.
I mean, cutting Tre'Davious White, it hurts everybody. He was the first draft pick of the team that you see now. You know, he wasn't even a Brandon Beane draft pick. He was a Sean McDermott draft pick. He was the first one, that McDermott's like, this is how I'm going to start this turnover. So that's why it hurts me so much. I mean, I have a Tre'Davious White jersey. He's been one of my absolute favorite players since he started and since he's played with us. But he hasn't played really in the last 3 years. So to say that him coming off 2 very significant injuries is going to come back and be worth the money that we owed him, it's hard to really say that he was. I mean, or to expect him to be anyway. And only reason coming off of those injuries. I mean, he's had a little bit of down, like you could see him getting reacclimated last year when he was coming back. It was a little bit of a slow buildup, but he still played well. Like right before he got hurt, it was like, yeah, you started really seeing flashes of old Tre'Davious White. And now with another injury, being a year older, you can't bank on hope at this point. The Bills window is not closed, and it won't be because we have Josh Allen. But you gotta, keep a little window wedges in there and help and give Josh a little bit of support. And that money could be spent better elsewhere at this point, kind of more widespread, since we're so thin across the entire, 53 roster.
Yeah. I'm really gonna miss his dancing on the field and warm ups and all that. Just the energy, overall energy he brought in everything. That really is a tough one, heartbreaker. Seeing him go.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite Tre'Davious White moments was I think it was the Patriots that they were playing, but some I think play calling sheets or something to do with the Patriots game plan or whatever had blown out on the field.
Yeah,
he's like running from the officials within his hand, like trying to look at it.
Yeah,
that was one of my favorite moments with him, and it is unfortunate, and it's it is part of this game and it's part of this business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I speak for all of Bills Mafia when I say we hope only the best for him, regardless of where he goes or who he plays for again. Even if it's the Chiefs, I would still root for him. But some of the other comments here. Yeah, John Robert only 10 games in the last 2 seasons for Trey. He will be missed. He will be. And David up here also says Josh Allen broke the culture, but wasn't for him, we wouldn't be in the playoffs. Obviously, Josh Allen is a very, very big part of that. And then Roy, the biggest surprise was Von redoing his contract to make incentive laden. None of the other cuts were surprising. That I think was the last thing that came out last night. Was
Yeah.
the Von Miller, yeah. And when I saw that, I got to admit my jaw dropped. I don't guess Von Miller's never been considered like a not a team player or selfish or anything like that. So maybe it shouldn't necessarily surprise us. But at the same time, it's a $10 million pay cut. I think 10.7.
Yeah.
That's
quite a gift.
crazy. Yeah, it is.
But it goes
But-
to show, you wonder what his market really was, like on the open market. Because I mean, everybody's been speculating this, but it's one of the. I think that they were going to cut him with a post June 1st designation, and I think the Bills offered him this, and they're like, "Give us money back. We will give you the opportunity to make more money, and to make just about all of it back." But another team wasn't going to be willing to do that. It'd be something like a $6 million deal, maybe up to something like that, like up to 6 with incentives. But like, I think it was just one of those. I think he believes, hey, this team is still pretty damn good, and I still want to be a part of it.
He believes.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys believe?
He sees the flag? Look at the
man.
flag. That's all I got to say.
That's right. I do. This is a fresh start, in a lot of areas, and it's hard to not get excited as much as it kind of tears you up. Not tears you up like we're all sad and everything, but as sad it is to see some players go, it is exciting for the future to see a fresh start, a team that really really needed some big moves, and it was a lot. It was a lot to process all at once. It was just a couple hours,
Yeah.
So,
I've seen a lot of people talking about, obviously, there's, a lack of a better way to put it, there's some hate towards Von Miller right now. A lot of it, obviously, stemming from the off the field situation, but also the lack of production last year and versus his contract. Chris Brown from One Bills Live basically said it best, because there was a caller that voiced that concern, that opinion, that anger. And Chris Brown basically was like, just stop with this, because you and everybody else knows full well that injury doesn't happen, nobody's complaining. Like when it happened, nobody was complaining. As far as when he got signed, everyone's like, "Oh, we got Von Miller." Yeah, there was some here and there. They're like, "Oh my gosh, we're paying too much for him," or whatever. But he was well on his way to double-digit sacks that first year in 2022, and I have no doubt that he would have done it again last year. But that injury completely changed everything, and quite honestly, that could have changed the whole season for 2022.
But it saved us a bunch of cash. That's kind of crazy how that works out.
But at what cost? What cost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was 2022 the year we were going to the Super Bowl? Like, if he really does play that way,
right?
Like you never know. We kept saying all we need is an edge. All we need is an edge. We finally got the edge, and the edge to play well, not just play like hope and play. And like then it happened, and it was just like, what do we do now?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what do you guys, if you were to look forward to 2024, do you expect Von Miller to be an integral part of that pass rush? Do you think he can get back to who he was? Because I know a lot of people are talking about those last couple of games of the season, it was starting to look a little bit more like Von Miller, finally. Do you think that that's true, or was what we saw at the end of last season, is that who he now is?
I mean, I wouldn't say we saw him back to being Von Miller. We saw him get back on the field, but he was sort of, I don't know, cautious maybe, or I don't know what the right word is. He definitely wasn't like, I don't feel like we've seen signs of Von Miller out there, the Von Miller of all or whatever. But I do think he can improve on that.
I would hope so. Stephon
Yeah,
Diggs, more tackles.
He literally can't get worse.
He can't get worse. I mean, he's got a whole, basically taking care of himself. He took this whole season to take care of himself. You could say he took the year off. And they didn't really, I don't feel like they stressed it.
Maybe not intentionally, but
right. But they didn't stress it too much, or I don't know if he was, really struggling, but
yeah. This offseason is going to be interesting. I've written about that several times over the last few weeks, and then yesterday happened. I want to get to some of the other comments that are popping up in here. We're going to get to the offensive line, of course. McGovern moved to center. That's what the Bills are reporting currently. And then, of course, David Edwards will move over. Well, not move over, but step up into that guard position. And then, of course, John brings up, haven't seen Josh's restructure yet. I'm sure that's coming probably by the end of the week or over the weekend. And let's talk about the offensive line really quick. We talked a little bit about Morse being let go and being released. And I think the number was $8 million and some change that saved. Are you comfortable with McGovern moving over to play center and then Edwards stepping in? Do you think that what we got last year from the offensive line, which was pretty solid, should we be worried about this coming season?
We freaking better not take it. I mean, if we take a step back, it'll be, in my opinion, more so due to injury. We got absurdly lucky last year along the offensive line, and how healthy they stayed. Unlike the year before, I'm praying this whole thing isn't cyclical, and we can see, and see what's coming in the future this year. But I mean, Edwards, he barely played guard last year. He played tight end, like 99% of the time that he came in. So I think they're more confident. I think this is saying more about McGovern being able, for as young as he is, he and Josh can, really start a tight relationship because how important this quarterback center relationship is. They have to. I mean, that's number one. And so I think they're like, all right, they're both young, right around the same age. Let them grow together. They can really learn, get the in-depth of the game at this stage of the career together. Really become in sync. And I think Edwards I won't be surprised if we draft somebody, maybe third, fourth round as an interior offensive lineman. We're going to need a swing guy now because that's what Edwards was. So we have somebody to take his role. Mm-hmm. But if he doesn't work out, they're definitely going to need some sort of competition for him in camp. So I'm hopeful that this is going to be as good as last year, but I won't be surprised if it's not, because Morris was so good.
Yeah. I'm confident, I guess, in McGovern, only because at this point we don't have a choice, right? We don't really know. We do know at least that he's played the position. He played it at Dallas. He's played it in college. It's not a foreign thing to him. I'm going to answer that question here in a minute. And then with Edwards, I was really impressed with Edwards last year, stepping in when he was needed and played extremely well. I am confident in that position. Last week I did a mock draft, included three trades in it, so I don't think that's too far-fetched when it comes to Brandon Beane. But I did have the Bills taking both a center and a guard in that draft. And this was actually before all of this happened, just because I feel like, one, the offensive line is a position that you should just draft every year anyways, at least one. Because, like you said, Casey, we got really lucky with the injuries on that offensive line last year, and that's probably not going to happen again. So you need to have some good, solid depth there. That's the area that I am concerned with currently as it stands right now. I'm sure there will be some changes and additions coming out this summer. This is a football podcast, but we've got somebody in here who wants to know who's going to win between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. I just saw this today pop up. I believe it's a Netflix thing. Little shout out for them, I suppose.
It's the day after my birthday.
But all right, let's throw it out there. Casey, who's going to win?
I hope it's Mike Tyson, because how funny would it be if some 60-year-old beat up some 28-year-old YouTube punk or whoever it is. I understand he's like a legitimate fighter and he's beaten some people, but they all have definitely been on the older side of time when it comes to professional sports. And he is like in the absolute prime of his life right now. And no, that's not a plug for his dumb drink. So I hope it's Tyson.
Yeah.
Are we all for Tyson here?
We're rooting for Tyson, but realistically, like, I could see him. I mean, how I don't know like how into it he still is, you know.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
But he
I'm
is.
not gonna lie. I'm gonna watch.
He was a
I'm gonna
he was
watch.
a bad man in the boxing ring, man. So you know what
I
I mean.
think
He's
Tyson's
got
one
that
of those.
fierceness.
Tyson's one of those. He's like got the eye for it, and like once he's like, all right, let's fight. He's gonna be like, I'm gonna kill you. Like I don't
Oh,
care.
yeah.
Like I'm like one of us is gonna die in this ring. Me because of old age and a heart attack, or you because of my fist. Like,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's how he's gonna approach it, and he is just gonna go hard as he
100%.
can at that
So,
at that.
so what do you think if it's like it's like this hyped up entertainment event more than like a legit boxing match? It feels like so. I forget what the last one was,
Oh,
but
you
like
mean Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather? How
yeah,
much of a snooze fest that was?
that's what I'm saying. So are we gonna see? Is it gonna be more laid back like that, and then
No.
maybe just Tyson comes in for the kill shot? But I want to say like
I-
I don't think we're gonna see somebody get knocked the heck out. But if
I
someone does get knocked out, that might be the way it happens.
I
Yeah.
think Tyson's going to go
I-
for the kill shot. I don't think he knows anything other than two.
I would agree with that. All right, let's let's shift back in really quick. We have over 500 people currently watching
Oh my
the
God.
live feeds here. That's on YouTube, Facebook, and we're also on Instagram. To all of you that are watching here now, thank you. We really, really appreciate that. John Robert here in the chat has been super conversationally, if that's a word. I just made it a word, so we're going to roll with it. He wants to know, do you think they will restructure Diggs? I have my opinions on this. Case or Mike, we'll start with you on this one. What do you think?
They could probably make a couple bucks there. I mean it seems like a touchy situation, you know, but I don't think it's as volatile as everyone makes it out to be. So we might, you know, if we need a couple dollars there, you know, he might be willing to work with us. I mean, you could say the production was down, but I don't know if that's entirely his fault or whatever. You know, when you think of, you know, Von Miller, obviously the production was down there, and that's the reason for the pay cut. But yeah, I could see a couple $1 million there, maybe if we really needed it. Who knows?
Yeah, if they
Pop
restructure,
around.
I'm not sure what the number would be, but what do you got, Casey?
At least
We're in agreement for the first time tonight. Because I already know what your answer is. We just restructured him last year, which is what caused us to be in such purgatory with him this year and also next year.
Yeah.
And all that does doing it again this year is A, possibly piss him off, and B, just make this a 2025 issue instead of a 2023 issue when he's even older and not as good as he is right now. So I think that this is a year where Brandon Bean is just he's just got to eat it. Anything that he's
Yep.
this is the eat it year. Like somebody already mentioned, I was thinking about it earlier or last night when they started doing all the cuts. I wonder how this affects 2024-25 next year.
Yeah.
We're already at $40 million underneath the cap, the projected cap next year, and that's with Diggs's contract as is. So I don't think they want to mess with that, and I don't think they should mess with that.
Agreed. We talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago, as far as restructures and everything. And I've also written about it. I kind of laid it out. Like, what they're doing right now is what I wanted them to do. Fix everything as much as you can now without a bunch of restructures, because I think part of the contract restructures a lot of people may not understand or quite get. It's not a renegotiation of the monies. The team still owes that money to the player, and they are still on the hook for paying it, and they still have to. It's just when you restructure, you're pushing that money down the road, making it even harder in the future years to cut ties if you so desire to do so, which, like we said with Stephon Diggs, I don't think his production last year had anything to do with physical limitations or his age. I don't think he's there yet,
Right.
but he will be. It's coming. So the team, by not restructuring him now, sets the team up better down the road in a season 2 or 3 or whatever. When that moment does come and he starts to decline due to age, that it's a lot easier to part ways with him.
Let's
the only
make
other
this.
one, and
Go ahead. Continue. Sorry.
I was just saying, as far as the only other restructure I see personally coming is probably Deion Dawkins and Josh Allen.
they can extend Taryn. You can add him onto that list, and it would help.
If they do
big
want to do
time.
extension, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they
but,
could
like,
do some extensions.
just to make it clear for everybody, they did renegotiate Von Miller this year.
Yes.
They
He literally
they
took
would
$10
be-
million off.
Yes, and that's the difference between a restructure and a renegotiation. That's where the wording and all of this truly is very important.
Mhm.
You almost have to be a freaking lawyer.
Yeah.
You do.
It's seriously. I mean, but it's because when Von Miller signed, it was 6 years, $160 million, and it was, oh my God, he's 31 years old. You think he's going to be playing at 37? No, and Brandon Bean didn't either. But it was void. It was really a 3-year, $54 million
Yeah.
deal, and the last 3 years were void years where it didn't, like, there was barely any dead cap at all to get rid of him. So no matter what, in my heart I knew he was going to be on the team this year. Still shocked he took this renegotiation. I think the team was like, hey, this is what it is. Either take it or don't. And if not, then you're gone, no matter what. And he's betting on himself, to play better than he did last year and to hit a couple of those incentive bonuses. But I just wanted to point that out there for everybody that they're like, you've really got to be careful on the wording on like the tweets everybody's putting out, because one person says it's renegotiation and it's the opposite. It really can throw off everybody's thought process on how everything else is going. It revolves around the numbers.
Exactly.
All right, very good.
There's some other. We talked a little bit about depth of the offensive line. Yeah, there are a couple of people here. Alec Anderson, who I know the team is pretty big on, and he played well in the preseason when he had his opportunity. And then the team, they do like Richard Garage as well. Kevin Jarvis, I have to admit, I'm not familiar with that one. But yes, those guys can provide depth, but to me, I'm still hoping they bring in some additional bodies, whether it's free agency or the draft or even both. Like they did last year, they brought in 2 free agents, I think, and they also drafted 2. But kind of moving forward, we talked about Deion Dawkins here as well. Been talking about Deion Dawkins being extended, lowering the cap. Again, I expect a lot of this probably over the weekend. I believe Monday is when teams can start negotiating with players. Technically, free agency doesn't open until I think Wednesday. But we know how this works. We're going to start getting all the tweets and
it's legal tampering. The most, the dumbest name that anybody could ever come up with. And oh my God. That and the combine, the freaking underwear Olympics.
The underwear Olympics, there it is. And we couldn't get through the off season without you using that term.
Yeah.
Hey man. It's exactly
that was a new one for me last year.
It caught a couple people off guard with that one.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, there was a lot of comments like, what did you just say?
Ronnie, are you ready to fight yet? Are we going to bring up what we were talking about?
Yeah, let's do it, actually. And I want to hear from people in the list. Like, we're over 600 viewers right now, which is insane. I want to hear from all 600 of you. Comment what you think about Mitchell Trubisky being the new backup to Josh Allen. Casey, I'll give you the floor first, because I know you and I differ on this, and honestly, I differ from probably most people, most that I've seen on Twitter. But go ahead, let's hear your side of why it's such a bad thing.
I don't think it's such a bad thing. I just think he's another average run of the mill backup quarterback, and I don't think that somebody should. Just because you've played here before, I don't think that should necessarily mean, all right, yeah, just bring him on back. It didn't really matter how he played. Did he, he obviously didn't lose us any games. He wasn't asked to play any real time for us. But it's more so I just think that there's other people out there that I would trust more to be our backups. Like to be our Josh's backup quarterback if somebody did need to come in and play, 2-3 games. Somebody that I've always been high on. I think I look at him like a mini Josh Allen, kind of. He plays with the same heart and the same kind of grit. He's just your average sized dude, that's his downfall. Like he has every ability that's not physical that you need to be an NFL quarterback. But he still gets it done. I mean, yeah, he has some of the he plays some of the most heart I've ever seen on a football field. I would rather have someone like him or Minshew. There's also people out there like Marcus Mariota, but I gave you, out of Trubisky, Heineke, Minshew, and Mariota. My list was Minshew 1, Heineke 2, Trubisky 3, and then Mariota 4. But there's not many great backups in the NFL. I mean, they're backups for a reason.
Yeah.
I brought up bringing back, if you're that concerned with being familiar with the offense or with the team as a whole, bring back Tyrod. He was our starter before Josh. It's one of those.
The team
If that's
is
a logic,
completely different, though.
It's completely. I mean, Trubisky has no idea what Joe Brady's offense is.
No, but as far as I'm talking from a roster perspective.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's going to be different for Trubisky. I mean, everybody's gone, and we all saw the meme with with Will Smith when it's Josh Allen walks into the locker room today and he's just standing in the living room all alone looking around. It's just gonna be he and Stephon Diggs holding hands in a corner.
Yeah,
He Diggs and Deion Dawkins gonna be shirtless recording him.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like if you want to bring Trubisky back, I would rather bring Tyrod back. At least Tyrod is good at one thing, and or two things I'd give him. Throwing a deep ball. He still has one of the prettiest deep balls in the NFL, and he can still run. Yeah, but he also played for the Giants, so you got to give him a little bit of a slack here.
He did the same thing in Buffalo. People give Allen crap about not hitting the open guy underneath, rightfully so. Tyrod just wouldn't throw it to anybody.
I agree with that. He would not throw it over the middle. I agree with that. But at least he can throw it deep down a sideline, which we've seen. We know Stephon Diggs can burn just about anybody on a go route, and then he can also run. So I'm like, all right, that takes two aspects of it. And we see that's what Trubisky does 99% of the time when he comes in the game. It's always power, quarterback sweep to the other side off the power. And, Trubisky, he's fast enough. He gets, the 10, 12 yards, gets out of bounds, gets down, does what he needs to do. But, at least there's Tyrod. I think he just has a little bit more that I have left to be desired than Trubisky does.
I think you're hoping Tyrod Taylor was more for the Bills than he ended up being. And I just think it's it's just a past thing. And, I can't
tell
see
me Tyrod was not good for the Bills.
I enjoyed watching Tyrod Taylor when he was here, and I rooted for him. And that was that. But I feel like the Tyrod Taylor show in Buffalo is just over with.
It is over with.
But I can't see us going back to that again. You know what I mean?
But
Trubisky is.
Let's do that with Trubisky.
But he's in the near past. It's not as long ago. It's more with
that
the current.
Doesn't mean nothing.
You know what I mean?
It does. It does. I mean, there are aspects of this offense that carried over from Daboll that will still be used now that Trubisky will be familiar with. There are new pieces on the roster, yes, but still Trubisky is familiar with a lot of them. By no means am I comparing Trubisky to Allen. Please don't hear what I'm not saying.
Oh, you think?
But skill set wise,
I'm tweeting that.
Skill set wise, Mitchell Trubisky fits what the Bills do with Allen better than anybody else that's out there, in my opinion. No, he doesn't have as strong as arm. No, he's not as fast. No, he's not as big, but he can still do all of those things to a point. So they wouldn't have to really change the offense a whole lot if Trubisky had to step in there. And he's still relatively young, so we don't have to address this in the next few years. We can still keep him rather than this rotating door of backup quarterbacks. Yeah, that's my take on it. And I think, it's I want to say, $2.5 million per year or something like that.
Yeah. That's not a lot.
Did you guys not see him play for the Steelers last year?
I just think he
He
wasn't a good
was-
fit there.
Dude, like
But
he was horrendous.
I know, but like his
He
QBR was good
benched-
for like a couple seasons with the Bears. Why was that?
Yeah, his rookie year when nobody
Up
had
near
any
100?
tape on him.
95 or
Do you think
in the 80s?
Do you think the Steelers have a better offense minus a QB than the Bills?
No.
So if
That's
you
why.
plug Trubisky into what we have here, I
Well-
think this team. Well, I don't want to go there. I was going to say
Just
I
hope
think
we
this team
don't
can
have
still
to.
win with Trubisky, but there's a lot of changes on the defensive side, so that's going to be kind of iffy. We'll have to wait and see. But
I
I
just
just
think Taylor
think-
Heineke and Minshew were just an overall better quarterback.
I'll give you Heineke. I love Heineke.
I think we
Like
I
his-
think we could have got him at the same price as Trubisky. I mean, the Falcons paid him $10 million on a like 2-year, $20 million to be their backup, and they already cut him. Like, he got his money. He doesn't care about it. He already got to play for his home team. He got his money. Come let him play here. I think he would
But-
thrive in Buffalo.
Why would he choose to
The
be
things-
Cole?
But the things that you said that Heineke doesn't have, the physical part of it, Trubisky does. And we know that McDermott
But he
and
can't do
Bean,
them.
they look for guys with those traits more so than anything. And that's how they draft. They bring in guys that fit, what they do here. I don't know if you guys watched today. They actually had a press conference with Trubisky, and I have to say it was kind of cool because he talked about his son was born in Buffalo, so it's really cool for him to come back to Buffalo where it all started for his son. So that's super cool, and it kind of gave me the vibes of he's going to be here forever, even when he retires. I felt like the way he was talking about the community and the city and everything, he wants to be here, and he could become one of those long-term. I live in Buffalo, past my retirement, but I think he could do a lot worse, for sure, right?
Yeah.
I think
Among
you can
who's
do
out
worse,
there
but
and
I also-
We had
I
worse
also
last
think-
year.
I also think you can do better. I don't know if Kyle Allen is worse than Mitchell Trubisky, and from what I've seen the last couple of years from Trubisky,
If I strictly compare the preseasons when Trubisky was here with what Allen did last year, Kyle Allen, Trubisky was way better. Kyle Allen looked like garbage in those preseason games. Like he was
This
not
was-
good.
preseason.
Well, I know, but that's really all we have
I
to
know-
compare with Allen.
I know with Allen specifically, I agree, but just comparing, apples to oranges, Trubisky in the regular season and Kyle Allen in the preseason, I didn't see any. I don't see
So
any
you'd
more.
rather have Kyle.
Enough of it. I don't. Between those two, I really wouldn't care because I'm like it's this, to me. I'm getting the same result.
Like a lot of
You
people
probably
say,
get the same result regardless, honestly.
you don't ever want to put in your backup and have to rely
Yeah,
on
exactly.
Yeah, but I just think Heineke would give he's more of a baller. I don't know what other way to put it. He's just a better football player. He just doesn't have the athletic attributes to do it.
Well, it ain't
to
happening this year.
I know. And I hope we don't have to use Trubisky.
Yes.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'm
But
definitely.
I dug
on
way
board
too
with you on
far
that
into
one.
it, and I'm like, he's got to prove that he's the better pick than Mahomes.
Oh yeah, Mike, go
But
ahead.
we don't
and
want
give
him. We don't
giant
want him to have to
conspiracy theory.
prove that he was the pick ahead of Mahomes, but
Hit him with the
he's
conspiracy, Mike.
the conspiracy.
It's-
You complete the story, and he proves that he was supposed to be picked ahead of Mahomes because the Bills beat the Chiefs. So I'm there
That's
for the spiritual side of it as well.
That's like saying Sam Darnold's better than Josh Allen because he got
Yeah.
to a Super Bowl.
But seriously,
first
who
with
else is
Donald.
out there that's really obtainable like that and has some experience here? So that's where I'm at on the whole thing.
See, I don't care
Yeah,
about
I-
the experience here.
Yeah,
You're a
Well, I
you're a
don't think
backup-
there's really that
you're a
much of
backup
separation,
quarterback.
anyways.
right.
Like if we're talking like just as far as the backup quarterback goes, from even with Mariota, which that would be probably my last of those four that we've mentioned, but all four of those, I I don't really see that much of a drop off from one to the other, to be honest. With, like I said, with Trubisky, I just feel like he fits what they do here better than the other ones.
Mhm.
But let's
If this was
move
draft
on.
day and I was Kevin Costner, I would fire you.
Well, you know what? The Bills would have won a Super Bowl if I was GM. Just kidding. Probably not.
17 years.
Right.
You know, we were talking about, I can't remember what the topic was exactly that led to it, but I ended up putting into one of the articles I had written like a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. But the backup quarterback situation, I would almost honestly rather just draft a new young quarterback in like the 6th, 7th round.
I've been
And
saying
let
that for
him-
3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just let him sit there, grow, develop. Who knows? Maybe you get a Tom Brady-ish, and then you can swap him. Or a better example would be Matt Schaub with the Atlanta Falcons back in the day. He was all preseason, darling, and they turned that into multiple first-round draft picks to Houston.
Right.
And he was an okay quarterback. He wasn't bad by any means. In fact, if you have to ask a lot of Texans fans, they would probably tell you that he was one of their best, like in their franchise.
I mean,
But
that's
he
a
was
short
nowhere.
list.
Yeah, well, it is. It's a very short list. But that's the direction I would like to go because then you get a 6th or 7th round rookie quarterback on a 4-year deal. You don't have to worry about the position for at least 3, and you've got him again on the rookie money, so it's not even the vet minimum. That's a direction that I would have preferred they go, and maybe they still will. I mean, there's nothing set in
I think
stone.
that-
There's nothing that says.
I think they do. I think that's why they brought Trubisky in. They have their safety blanket in Trubisky, and I think they're going to draft. The 2 players that I'm looking late in the draft that I hope is Jordan Travis coming out of Florida State, and Joe Milton coming out of Tennessee.
There you go.
That
It's
dude
It's like
is
you've been
a
reading my
freak.
work.
Like he is huge, and like
Yeah.
I would just like you just said, groom him, let it happen, let him sit on the practice squad. This year, let Trubisky be the number 2, or if they overperform, they beat out Trubisky. See ya, goodbye. We see him. We always usually keep only 2 quarterbacks anyway. Unless we can keep one on the practice squad. But I think that's their plan is to draft somebody late with one of these 78 5th, 6th round picks that we've got this year.
Yeah, I could see the situation where they keep Trubisky, they draft a quarterback, that rookie quarterback sits on the practice squad for a season, and then in season 2, he's the backup, and they say goodbye to Trubisky. I know he signed a 2-year contract, but we all know how that works out. Yeah,
He did last time too.
Yeah. So, and I think we all knew that he was probably going to go after this first season because his goal was to try to resurrect his career at that point. And I, like
look
Mike
what
said a
he-
while ago. I know it
Go
didn't
ahead.
work out, and I was. You can ask my son-in-law. I was all about Trubisky when he left here, and I thought, man, I just have a feeling, because like Mike said a while ago, he was pretty good in Chicago. It wasn't necessarily his fault that they weren't winning. He had good numbers. He was playing pretty well. They were just not a good team around him. So I felt like, okay, you spend a year with the Bills and you learn, you go on to take the next step, and it didn't work out.
So the 2 years that he was really good in Chicago and the team was really good was when they had when their defense was like number 1 across the board and like almost all metrics. Like it was gross. And he also had, good running. He had a good receiver, and I can't remember who the running back was, but a good running back. They did not have Greg Olson at the time. They had Jimmy Graham, so like a very good. And when Jimmy Graham was Jimmy Graham, so they had a very good tight end. No, he had good pieces. He had good pieces around him. The team as a whole was good. And then they're like, all right, let's see what we can do here. And they got their own cap casualties, and they had to start letting good veteran players go. And they were like, oh, he sucks when we suck. Like he doesn't make us better. Like. And that's what you're looking for from a quarterback is for your quarterback to pick up the pieces around you and make your team better as a whole. And he just doesn't do that. So I just.
But as a backup,
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I do.
Yeah,
agree.
but I
He's
want
not-
I want that from I want
Right.
to, that's a
I
trait
get it.
I'm treating the same as a backup, the same exact as a quarterback.
Right.
Yeah. Let's kind of jump into the next thing. I teased this a little bit on Twitter earlier. And I do want to kind of get into a little bit more later next week. We've got free agency opening up, so we're kind of going to kind of leave the window open as far as what we're going to discuss next week, because, like I said, I know there's going to be a lot of news. But I was kind of looking through, doing some reading and researching on some of the Bills' past drafts, and I came across something that I thought was kind of interesting. So, 1998, the Bills traded for everybody's favorite quarterback, fan favorite, Rob Johnson. I know everybody
Shit.
loved Rob Johnson.
At one point.
Yeah, at one point, and I'll be the first to admit. So this was 97. So I was 21 years old, or 22. So because they traded for him in 98, I was 22. I thought I knew everything there was to know about football. I didn't know anything though, but they traded for him and gave up a first and a fourth round pick in the 98 draft. The Jaguars used that ninth pick to pick up Fred Taylor, who was a pretty good running back.
He wasn't bad.
Yeah, but that class of quarterbacks, I can't remember all the names, and there's a reason for that. It wasn't good. The only one in that draft, can you guys name him? He was the first
Peyton
pick.
Manning.
There you go.
Peyton Manning. Because that was the Ryan Leaf draft.
Yep, that was the Ryan Leaf draft. So I look back at that and I'm thinking, okay, what if the Bills would have used that ninth pick and packaged it up with some others and moved up and maybe been the team to get him? I love these what ifs. It's a lot of fun for me to talk about. But that trade, number one, it cost the team some picks, right? Some draft capital. Things didn't work out. So what did they do? He stayed with the team for a few years. Didn't work out. They went and they traded for Drew Bledsoe. And again, gave up another first round pick, which was the 13th pick in the draft that year. A little bit better class. You guys remember who the number one pick was in that one?
What was the year?
99?
2003.
Oh.
2003.
If you gave me long enough, I would know it.
I don't know if everyone wants to sit in silence and listen to it. So the number one pick in that draft was Carson Palmer.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah. Carson Palmer. Buffalo would have had, if they didn't make that trade, would have had the 13th pick and somewhere in the early 20s, because that's the one that they used to get Willis McGahee. So you kind of have to wonder, again, have they taken those two first-round picks and packaged them together and moved up and gotten Carson Palmer? The Bills, from 1998, when they acquired Rob Johnson, through 2004, so you're talking about 6-7 seasons, they drafted one quarterback because of Rob Johnson and Drew Bledsoe. They thought, oh, we got our guy. We traded for these guys. We don't need to draft a quarterback. Obviously, that was a mistake. To me, the trades that the draft picks that they gave up, and the fact that they thought they had their guy, so they never drafted a quarterback until they picked up J.P. Lossman in 2004. That to me just kind of set everything off. It put them in a hole right off the bat. Yeah, they lost the draft capital, just kind of like the Sammy Watkins situation. Yeah. They gave up 2 first-round picks for him. Again, that set the team back. So
the Bills haven't had good luck with trading away first-round picks.
Well, I think the story here is, number one, don't trade away first-round picks, and number two, don't trade for journeyman quarterbacks or whatever. You've got to draft the right guy, and you keep doing it every single year until you get it right. Like when it blows my mind, to be honest, that they didn't draft a quarterback when they got Johnson.
I mean, you can fast forward to today. The rule of thumb is still don't trade for a quarterback. Yeah. Look at the purgatory that my friend Stu's Broncos are in now because of the Russell Wilson trade. Look at just how well the Aaron Rodgers trade has played out for the Jets, and look at everything that they gave up for him. You know, like they got 4 plays. Woo! like big whoop. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
and now what? And now they're hoping that this 42, 43-year-old quarterback is going to be able to come off an Achilles and play at the same MVP level that they traded for. That's a long shot. I mean, that's just like us hoping
It is.
Tre'Davious White comes off an ACL and Achilles on just about back-to-back years and plays at the same All-Pro level he was at. And he's 13 years younger, or however old he is, like how much younger he is.
The only trade,
you're right. Don't trade for quarterbacks.
the only one I can think of off the top of my head that did kind of work out, but he was still young, and I think they traded for him was Drew Brees because they drafted
They did.
Phillip Rivers
They did
in that whole Eli Manning Phillip Rivers situation, and then they traded Brees, but he was still in his early 20s when they did that. So it's even that's a little bit different. But let's go back to 2002. There's a quarterback in that 2002 draft class that Buffalo had an opportunity to pick, but again, because they had Rob Johnson and believed that he was the guy, they didn't pull the trigger on it. Who's that guy? Who's the quarterback? Would have completely changed the history for the Bills. Completely. I just mentioned his name too.
Oh my God! See, shows how much we were listening.
I was typing. I got an excuse.
Drew Brees. Drew Brees was his second pick. Buffalo picked, I think, 9 spots ahead of where the Chargers ended up taking Drew Brees. Could you imagine Brees with Eric Moulds and Peerless Price? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then throw in
would've-
Lee Evans on that. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
You ain't kidding,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
So-
but like that's just like, well, what if what if in that 2003 draft or whatever it was, what if we drafted either Big Ben or Eli or Phillip Rivers? You know, I mean, there was a big three, and I know there's more quarterbacks that came out of that draft that I'm losing off the top of my head. We had opportunities to get a plethora of guys, but that's the crapshoot of the draft is you don't know. It's a lot. They're playing the literal lottery. You know, you're just hoping that this guy can keep it together and put it all together and like just keep doing what he's doing in college, or at least not do what he's doing in college. Like, because that Josh Allen isn't an example of that. If they can really bring out the best of their abilities, if you get the best coaches around them.
Which brings me to my next question. Going back to Rob Johnson, because the talent was there. The skill, the ability was there. I think we saw that from time to time. And even in the Music City Miracle game, he played well enough for the Bills to win that game against the eventual AFC Championship team. So I know a lot of people want to dog on him and everything, and yeah, I agree, Casey, you're pointing to your head for those that can't see. But it's true. A lot of it was upstairs, they said, which kind of got me to thinking again, what if somebody like Rob Johnson has a different staff?
Nice.
For example, if we swap Josh Allen and Josh Rosen in that 2018 draft, what happens?
You
The
think
Bills
Josh
are still
Rosen's
in the
probably a little
playoffs,
better
though.
off now than he is.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, and so I don't want to bag on him too much. I was not a fan of Josh Rosen coming out in that draft class. The two players that I wanted were, if we were going to draft early in the first round, was Josh Allen number one. He was the one that I wanted because I was betting like I want so he's what you look for in a quarterback: the size, like ability, arm strength, ability, athleticism. He can still run. He can shed linebackers like they're flies. I was betting on that. But then there was Baker, who was a more refined quarterback. He was more, he was more consistent. He just knew he was a better player at the time.
And he does have a competitive edge to him that I do like.
Exactly.
Baker plays with heart. He plays with a lot of heart.
Then there was Josh Rosen, Mr. I mean, he had a hot tub in his dorm room. That to me, that's as far as I feel like I should have to explain it.
Yeah.
But he was what are they called? Like a finance kid. Like mom and dad were, they were set. and he was set. Whether football worked out or not, he was extremely talented, but he just didn't care enough. That's one of those things. He wasn't in it for the grind. Josh Allen was going to be great no matter what because he was in it for the haul. He was in it like he was. Everybody thought I sucked coming out of high school, made it to Wyoming. Everybody thought I sucked coming out of college, got drafted by the Cardinals. Watch us explode. Watch me explode. It might take me 2 years, but I'm going to work hard. Nobody's going to outwork me.
Yeah.
So it really is. I mean, that's nature versus nature argument, nature versus nurture argument. But that's also a case by case. I mean, would Rosen be better than he was for the Cardinals? For us, probably a little bit better.
Right.
Do I think he would have been our long-term starter? No, not at all. But would Josh Allen still be Josh Allen? Probably, yeah.
Yes.
You think so? Yeah. It does make me wonder, though, how many players out there could have been something great if they're in the right situation. I see even with the kids today, when we go out to our kids' games, the grandkids, the our kids, whatever, and you hear the stories from some of the other parents about how their child, whether he was 10, 12, 16, whatever age, there's stories about them and their coach, and they hated playing for them, and they just never played again because of it. So it kind of, again, got me to thinking about how many players, how much talent has possibly been wasted out there because of the wrong situation or the wrong coach.
For sure.
I feel like I could speak on that. I moved high schools, and I came from a high school that was huge into football. I mean that we'd sport. They lived, breathed, and died football. That's what they were about. I moved to a school where football was secondary. We actually had to merge with another school in order to play football, to be on to just be on a football team. Mm-hmm. And I saw, it was a smaller town, but I saw, you saw the small town politics. Oh, he knows his dad, but he's not, as an outsider, I was like, he knows his dad. He's starting, but I can see other players that are behind him at that position that are way better, but he's in because of the coach and family connection. And I saw it a lot. But the town that I came from, they didn't care if you were a senior or a freshman. Whoever was the best 11 were going on that field, period, point blank, no matter what. So it is one of those things to where, you see coaches play players out of positions. You shouldn't be running. You run a 5 flat. That's the third fastest on the team. You're short. Oh, we're just going to make you a running back. Make them a fullback. Make them a linebacker. Make them a safety. They don't just because people have a certain look to them or a certain just style about them doesn't mean that's where they specifically should play.
Mm-hmm.
You saying that reminds me of one of the receivers that's in the draft, and I'm not going to say the name because I can't for sure 100% remember which one it is. I'm going to do research on that because his story is kind of what you were just saying. In high school, he wanted to be a receiver. That's where he played, but then the school was like, no, we want you to be a quarterback because you can run. I want to say it was Mitchell. I can't pronounce the first name, but AD.
Adonai
Mitchell.
Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah, something like that. I think that's the one. I'll look into it more, and we'll get into the draft a whole lot more probably after next week, once free agency starts to kind of slow down. But yeah, same kind of thing. They forced him to play quarterback. He ran for thousands of yards as a QB. So even as a receiver, it took him a few years to finally start to really get good at it. And even now, there's room for growth. And you love to hear those kind of stories. And for that reason alone, I would love to have him on the Bills because those are the kind of people you want. The Josh Allens, you don't think I'm good? Watch this. I'm going to prove you wrong. And I'm going to do everything I can within my own power to make sure that happens. Well, we all heard all the stories about Allen in the offseason, how he went back to California and spent some time with Jesse Palmer. And refining his skill every single summer, and I think even now he still does it after the golf. We all know about golfing.
Priorities. I'll give him.
I got no problem with it. You bust your ass all season long for the Bills Mafia and trying to get those wins in the NFL and trying to get the Lombardi here. You want to go play some golf after the season's over? I got no problem with it. Go have fun and relax.
Especially when Tiger Woods invites you. Yeah,
I
go
know.
do that, bro.
More
Like,
power
yeah.
to you.
I'd give my left foot for that opportunity.
I feel like you're about to say something else.
That too.
So I do want to really quick throw this one up here from Justin. He mentioned Stafford and Brady. Yes, 2 more quarterbacks that Buffalo could have had in those early 2000s had they actually drafted some QBs in that 7-year span there. It's unreal how that whole thing transpired and what led to it. Anyways, we could probably spend a whole show talking about the draft or the drought and some of the players and things like that.
What
And
ifs in that?
Yeah. The off season's about to, once the free agency and draft are done, then things start to really kind of slow down until we hit July. We got a lot of time to talk about all that stuff and the what ifs. We are over 800 viewers right now. That is absolutely fantastic and amazing.
I love it.
Love it. Thank you, all of you who are listening and watching right now. We appreciate it. We do hope to see you next week. Again, for our sponsors over at Game On, check them out. I'm going to let Mike tell you where to find them and where their store's at because I want to see if you get it right this time.
Yeah. Well, I've taught myself a little trick, a way around it. My speaking fumble,
Okay.
or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, John from Game On Sports. He's got him and his son John mans a store out near me, but they got locations in Rochester and Buffalo. So go check him out. You're nearby. He's got all sorts of Bills stuff, thousands of autographs. Too many cards to count. It's just great gift ideas. It's
Over
on top of sport.
cards.
Yeah, there's some other stuff, some cool gaming stuff, and you just never know. It's a really, really cool place. Either place you stop at, you're gonna be surprised when you walk in and see how much cool stuff he has: helmets, jerseys, cards, photographs.
And it's not just
like,
Bill stuff
countless.
too.
Like I don't. We've been there a few times, and it's like you could just keep on looking. You could stand there forever and hang out. And he's got events going on, trade days and stuff. I could go on forever about the stuff going on at Game On Sports. But yeah, Rochester, Buffalo locations, check them out. Like I said, great gift ideas, anything great for any Bills collection or anything else like that.
Like Mike said, it's great for gifts. I can't stress this enough. If you have a husband in your life and he is a sports fan, go to Game On Sports. Check out his eBay. And seriously, I promise you will find something that your husband will like. Or wife.
Yeah. If
you got a sports wife. That he has any sport, anything that you can imagine, any team. Check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here for the week. Until next week. I know there's gonna be a lot of news coming on. If something really big hits, maybe the Mafia Cast will do an impromptu live show if my co-hosts are up for it.
Yeah,
guys.
This time I might be.
We'll see you all next week. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bells. Keep telling your friends.